Welcome to This Explainer. Look, today we are exploring a deeply fascinating piece of fiction that pushes the absolute boundaries of psychological self-preservation. And you know what? We're just going to go ahead and skip the usual intro today because we need to jump right into the exact terrifying moment a human mind decides it simply cannot bear reality anymore. We're looking at a story where extreme, utter vulnerability forces a profound and violent psychological split. Basically, we're going to see exactly how a mind fractures just to save itself.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Step back, son. I'll handle the perimeter. I want you to really think about those words for a second. They're cold, they're meticulously calculated, and they represent this absolute, unyielding military authority. But here's the kicker. This isn't a line spoken out loud to a room full of people. No, this is a voice echoing internally, deep within a man's own head, at the exact moment his physical body is about to be destroyed.
And that brings us right to the core mystery we're unraveling today. How exactly does extreme trauma, when compounded by complete and total vulnerability, trigger such a radical psychological split? I mean, we all build mental armor, right? But our source material today takes us into the mind of a protagonist who is entirely defenseless. We are going to examine the exact anatomy of a fractured psyche that literally summons the ultimate lethal protector from its own depths, purely to survive its darkest moment.
Section 1. A fractured state of mind. So before we can even begin to understand this protector, we really have to understand the profound darkness that made him necessary in the first place. Picture the setting the author paints for us, a rundown dive bar called the Rusty Anchor. The text uses these heavy sensory details to totally immerse us in a grim, almost paralyzing atmosphere. You've got this sickly green light reflecting off amber liquid, the harsh taste of cheap whiskey, a low, irritating, buzzing neon sign that feels like it's vibrating straight through our protagonist's skull. You see, ever since his partner Karen packed her bags and walked out, Warren has been completely trapped. The depression has settled into his bones like a damp winter chill. It's heavy, it's inescapable, and it is completely paralyzing.
And this brilliantly illustrates just how physically and mentally compromised Warren really is before any actual conflict even starts. He is actively running from the deafening silence of his empty apartment by drowning his thoughts in alcohol. But tonight, he's pushed it way too far. His vision is swimming, his head feels like it's packed full of cotton, his motor skills are rapidly deteriorating, he's literally tripping over his own feet, his legs feel like dead lead, he is thoroughly, helplessly intoxicated.
Section 2. The triggering threat.
Right into this numb and chemically impaired state steps a sudden, very real physical danger. Warren accidentally spills his drink, and just like that, he's targeted by two towering, thick-necked figures. The author really hits us with the visceral smell here, stale cigarettes and engine oil. The lead aggressor has this nasty, jagged scar right across his chin. They shove Warren hard against his chest, sending a jarring shock all the way up his spine as he hits the dirty floor. Down there, staring up at these cruel grins and heavy work boots, Warren is gripped by pure primal terror. His heart is hammering against his ribs. He has absolutely no way to defend himself.
He's so weak, he is completely exhausted. The scarred man literally grabs him by the collar of his jacket and hoists him off the floor. And this is the exact psychological breaking point of the entire story. Listen to this desperate internal plea. I can't do this. Help me. His mind is just spiraling into total panic. And in this moment of absolute surrender, something else answers.
Section 3. Enter the commander.
Boom. Things shift immediately. The tone violently snaps, and the whole atmosphere of the scene just changes. What happens next is honestly a masterclass in writing a psychological shift. The author defines this transition using incredibly specific, vivid imagery. Deep within the, quote, fractured recesses of Warren's psyche, a heavy steel door swings open. This is not a mood swing, folks. This is a distinct entity. The commander is a fiercely protective presence characterized by absolute, unyielding military authority. When he says he's going to handle the perimeter, he absolutely means it.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the instant, incredibly jarring physical transformation that happens. Just compare the two states. First, you have Warren, slouched posture, terrified watery eyes, completely drunk and weak. But the second the shift happens, the commander takes over. We're talking a rigid military spine, a freezing steel gaze, and completely sober control. The suffocating fog of alcohol just vanishes from his perception. Why? Because Warren isn't at the controls anymore. He's been pulled backward, tumbling into a dark, quiet observation room at the back of his own mind, just watching through the windows of his own eyes as this lethal entity takes the wheel.
Section 4.
Tactical neutralization.
We are about to witness some shockingly fast, brutal violence. 10 seconds. That's it. That is the entire amount of time this brutal altercation took. Less than 10 seconds. The commander's movements completely and utterly defy the massive amount of alcohol sitting in Warren's bloodstream. Let's break down exactly how this lethal protector dismantles the threat.
What we're watching here is cold, predatory efficiency. It's the exact precision of a seasoned combat veteran. Step 1. Striking Viper speed. He grips the attacker's wrist, twisting outward with perfect leveraged force until, pop, the bone snaps. Step 2. Without a single word, a precise drive-by elbow straight to the exposed jaw, knocking the first man instantly unconscious. Step 3. The second attacker panics and reaches for a pocket knife, but the commander just casually steps inside his reach with a devastating upward palm strike, completely shattering his nose. Step 4. A fierce, driving knee to the midsection. Step 5. He grips the back of the guy's head and slams it against the edge of the heavy wooden booth. Done. The threat is entirely neutralized.
The commander just stands there over the fallen men. His breathing is perfectly rhythmic, completely controlled. He calmly straightens Warren's jacket. He actually brushes a speck of dust off the sleeve. Then he casts this cold, sweeping glance across the absolutely horrified patrons of the bar. And then, satisfied the perimeter is finally secure, he retreats right back into the shadows of the mind. Threat neutralized, relinquishing command. And just like that, a heavy, suffocating darkness rushes right back over Warren.
Section 5. The morning after.
The adrenaline completely fades, the violence ends, and we are left with the quiet, aching aftermath. So the crucial point is the incredibly jarring disconnect Warren experiences the very next day. I mean, imagine the sheer cognitive dissonance of waking up to a bright, piercing morning sun and a massive, blinding hangover slamming into your temples. But then you compare the physical evidence on your body to your memory. His knuckles are deeply bruised, split open, and covered in dried blood, yet he has total, complete amnesia of the event. He doesn't remember the strikes, the screams, or the cold precision of the fight. He literally has no idea how he even got home.
But here's the twist. Instead of spiraling into panic, the text actually guides us to this profound emotional resolution. As Warren sits there looking down at his battered, bloody hands, this strange sense of profound relief actually washes over the lingering ache of his depression. He realizes, maybe for the first time, he wasn't entirely alone in the dark. He actually whispers a quiet thank you to the silent corners of his own mind, because deep down he knows that wrapped in a rigid silence, his protector is merely watching, just waiting for the next time his soldier needs saving.
Which leaves us with a final, chilling question to ponder as we wrap up this explainer today. Think about it. If a heavy steel door can suddenly swing open and unleash a force capable of that sheer level of calculated destruction, who is really in control of Warren Jensen's mind? Is it the conscious man drowning in sorrow or the lethal commander waiting in the dark? It is an absolutely terrifying, yet utterly fascinating look at psychological self-preservation. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really hope this gave you a clear, structured look into the anatomy of a fractured mind.